It was a gray Monday in Portland. The sky, heavy like lead, looked ready to collapse, but no rain fell. The silence in the streets was broken only by the metallic sound of a distant train and the faint buzz of flickering streetlights. In the northern suburbs, nestled among rows of identical houses and perfectly manicured lawns, stood a home with shuttered windows and curtains that never opened. Inside, everything looked too clean, too tidy, like a stage waiting for actors who never came back. In the living room, a pristine white leather couch showed no signs of use. Above the fireplace, a black and white photo of a smiling young woman surrounded by balloons hung on the wall, her eyes too full of life to be trapped in a frame. The house, though beautiful and modern, gave off a suffocating feeling, as if the air had been held in for years, mixed with words that were never spoken. Upstairs, a woman in her early 30s stared into the bathroom mirror. The cold overhead light accentuated the dark circles under her eyes. She ran her fingers over her face, as if searching for an invisible crack. Her name was Andrea, a behavioral therapist, followed by thousands on social media, praised for her insights on emotional freedom. Out there, she was seen as a symbol of self-awareness and resilience. But in that silent house, everything about her screamed for something she couldn't even name. That morning, she canceled all her sessions. She simply typed one brief sentence for her followers. "Today, silence is my therapist." Within seconds, thousands of likes poured in. Emojis, hearts, words of encouragement. And still, no human touch. No eyes meeting hers. Just one notification after another lighting up the screen like a string of tiny, polite lies. She walked down to the kitchen. The marble floor reflected her bare feet. When she opened the fridge, she paused. Not because she didn't know what to eat, but because she felt it. A presence. As if someone had just been there. The air seemed different, warmer, almost as if the house had a pulse of its own. The lights flickered. A soft click came from the hallway. Andrea didn't move. She slowly closed the fridge door and walked to the living room. She sat on the couch, the one she'd been avoiding for days. In her hands, she held a small, dark wooden box that had been in the back of the closet since her mother's funeral. She had never opened it, never had the courage. But that morning, something inside her asked, or maybe demanded. Her nails slid along the latch, and when she opened it, she found a letter, dated 1997, addressed to her in firm yet delicate handwriting. The letter was about fear, not the kind you scream out loud, but the kind that hides behind perfect decisions. Her mother, cold on the outside and eternally disconnected, had written about how she had become an expert in controlling everything, except her own heart. "Daughter, emotional freedom isn't about being strong. It's about allowing yourself to fall now and then. I never learned how to do that. I just hope you can." Andrea read those words 3 times, and on the last, she felt something strange. As if someone had whispered that exact sentence behind her. But she was alone. In the days that followed, she started to dream. Dreams of wandering through endless hallways, all with closed doors. In every dream, she tried to open one, but the doorknobs slipped through her hands like mist, and in each one she heard laughter in the distance. Not joyful laughter, sarcastic, childlike, like mockery from a part of herself locked away somewhere in the past. At 12, Andrea had witnessed her father's breakdown, a man who spoke little but screamed with his eyes. He disappeared into a psychiatric hospital and never came back. Her mother never explained, never mentioned it. She simply said, "Some pain can't be shared." Andrea learned to smile with her mouth, but never with her chest. Learned to answer hard questions with rehearsed phrases and therapeutic responses. She built such a perfect mask that she forgot what her real face looked like. With each passing day, Andrea felt something inside her unraveling. Small memories returned in flashes. A red umbrella left on the sidewalk, a 90s song playing from the neighbor's car, the smell of cheap cigarettes wafting from the living room when her mother thought she was asleep. It was as if the house was giving pieces of her back, one by one, without asking. On one particularly silent night, Andrea came downstairs for a glass of water and paused in front of the basement door. She had never gone down there, not since she was a teenager. The doorknob was cold, but it turned easily. When she flicked on the light, dust danced in the air like it was celebrating her return. Down there, among boxes and old furniture, was a rocking chair, and on it, a diary. It was hers, written between the ages of 13 and 16. Every page began the same way. Today, I hid again. There were entries about moments she didn't even remember living. Tiny emotional tragedies. Her father's absence, her mother's silence, panic attacks alone in her room. And amid it all, one sentence repeated dozens of times. When I grow up, I'm going to help people free themselves from the pain I can't show. There it was, the paradox. A generation that claims to be free, while hiding invisible chains in the basement of their souls. People who talk about healing, but bleed in silence. Who become experts at saving others because they don't know how to ask for help themselves. Andrea sat down on the cold cement floor. There, in that forgotten space, she felt more truth than in all her videos and posts combined. For the first time in years, she cried without worrying about appearances, without caring who might see. And in the middle of that crying, she understood. That emotional freedom isn't about eliminating pain. It's about welcoming it. That there is no manual for being whole. That sometimes, healing comes in the form of falling apart. The next morning, Andrea recorded a video. No makeup, no filter, no script. She simply spoke her truth. She shared that behind all her emotional expertise was a frightened girl holding the wreckage of her own story. She spoke about the dreams, the basement, the letter. And she ended with a sentence she hadn't rehearsed, but one that seemed to come from a very old place within her. Maybe the real prisons don't have bars, but compliments. Because when everyone believes you're okay, you feel forbidden to cry for help. The video went viral. Thousands of comments. People sharing secrets, pains, traumas they'd never voiced before. And for the first time, Andrea didn't feel alone. Because she realized there's an entire crowd dressed in freedom, but chained by the fear of seeming weak. That night, before bed, Andrea opened every window in the house. The cold wind rushed in, sweeping away old memories still floating in the air. The house felt like it was breathing differently, as if it were grateful. And while the city slept, a new Andrea emerged in the darkness, not perfect, not healed, but real. Because sometimes, the greatest act of freedom is simply admitting we're still trapped. If this story touched you, like, share, and comment. Maybe your silent truth is the key to someone else's prison.